Want to buy an entry-level wheel that has pedals and the shifter? Today we are looking at two choices. One very popular, the Logitech G29, and one that is sort of new, the PXN V10. But which one should you choose for an entry-level wheel? The Logitech G wheels have been around for ages, but then again, so has the PXN V10, which is mostly a Mad Catz wheel from back 2010. Both will have pedals with clutch. The V10 comes with a shifter, whilst the Logitech shifter will need to be bought separately. For this comparison, both wheels were sent by the respective brands. Let's make this video a little more interesting by ignoring true force from the equation, making the Logitech G93 effectively a G29 or a G9220, and then bringing the Logitech shifter. This way, the price of both will be very similar, $290 or pounds for the PXN V10, and around $350 or in United Kingdom £250 for the G29 with the shifter. Or if you want the G93 with the shifter, it will be around $390 or £330. The Logitech wheel keeps much of its engineering back from the G25 days. It is a geared wheelbase, 28cm wheel rim with real leather, it's really sturdy, it has many buttons, including a rotary, two shifter pedals, compatibility with the PC and PlayStation if in the G29 version. The Xbox version, the G920, will have less buttons. For the G93, it's basically the same independent of platform support. It can be hard mounted or it can be used with the integrated clamps. The provided pedal set has a really good rate of springs for all pedals. They can be used on a carpet with the spikes or in the floor with the rubber feet. You can also hard mount the wheel and the pedals to a rig or wheel stand. The shifter is a 6-speed plus reverse. There's no buttons on it. It can be mounted with the integrated clamps. The PXN V10 is a dual motor belt drive wheelbase. It has this insane image showing the internals. I'm not too keen into opening this wheelbase just to check it out. It can be mounted to a desk using this rather dorking mounting system, or you can use the holes to mount it to a rig or wheelbase. The wheelbase can be tilt adjusted, a very useful feature to use it in a desk. It is compatible with almost every console out there by the means of using the controller port on the back. This circumvents the console's security chip. The wheel is 26 centimeters, wrapped in a rather nice suede with buttons all around. Not too bad of reach and ergonomics because the wheel is rather small. Both the clutches and the shifter on the back are awful. However, the buttons on the front are actually quite okay. Contrasting with the Logitech wheel, this PXN V10 will have a quick release system in its wheelbase. But then again, there aren't any wheels in the PXN ecosystem, so I don't know if this makes sense to have. The pedals can be hard mounted or used on the floor. The construction is average, it isn't really that good. The rates are very soft, but they come as an advantage because of the softer springs with such a wide pedal set makes it the most usable pedal set to be used on the ground. The shifter is rather good, 6 speeds plus reverse and a couple of buttons. The construction quality is visibly superior in the Logitech side. Everything is sturdy, the materials of better quality, the assembly is just that much better. The V10 is passable, the pedals will feel hollow and the suede isn't very well stitched. Then again, on this price point you can't really ask for much more. The software part is different too. Logitech uses the G Hub, for better or worse. It is a way to keep everything tidy in the same software that includes everything in their ecosystem. You can adjust every single setting from this software, but for this comparison we will ignore true force. The PXN is essentially plug and play. Any single change has to be done via an app. That is really not my favorite way of doing stuff, so your mileage may vary. But then again, let's go for the important bit, which is the driving. We'll start with the V10. This wheel, when it was called the Mad Catz, was already receiving a fair bit of criticism, but we will get there. As a combination, as a pack we have here, it is not bad. It's just massively underwhelming. Well, first of all, it's a good thing that this wheel doesn't have a lot of torque because the desk clamp is really bad. The rear of the unit keeps lifting, but anyways, it's about what you'd expect from it. All the changes will have to be done through an app, which is by itself silly, but then for some reason, if you start changing the friction values to 0, it disconnects all force feedback. Even when you turn down the dampening, there is a constant dampening force that you cannot get rid of. The force feedback is muddy, it is gritty, it is non-responsive, doesn't get any useful information to the wheel. It does feel like it's grinding a squirrel inside, and the squirrel is winning the fight, so good for the squirrel. The wheel isn't too bad. I'd prefer a bigger rim personally, and it's not too bad in terms of buttons and ergonomics, except when you need to use the shifters because they are trash. That's okay, because the shifter that comes in this package, it is really good for the price point. It has an excellent feedback, very positive in the gate, and it's super clicky and the buttons are usable. It can be used, for example, in Euro Truck Simulator. The pedals, all things considered, aren't bad. The soft rates help a lot to be used on the floor, but any sense of control you want from it, it will be a very different thing to say, because it is very difficult to brake with them in precision. There is really no sense of progression in the brake spring. As floor pedals, and just floor pedals, I think they are actually very good, but side to side with the T3PAs, which they seem to be borrowing a lot from, there's really no comparison. These are far inferior. Then we have the Logitech G wheels, the G29, 923, really depends if you put the True Force or not. The force feedback is basically the same between the G93 and 29. It is a reliable, smooth experience for a wheel of this type. Force feedback is super familiar and informative. Everything works as it should and you would expect from it, and no wonder why it is a very popular wheel, and some of the fast esports guys have been using this bundle for years. You can really rely on the force feedback, and the wheel is surprisingly snappy for being a gear-driven wheel. The pedals are very well balanced, the perfect distance and the perfect progressive feel in the brake. The shifter is passable. It is not as good as the PXN, but does its job. I would prefer a little more resistant inside and to have the gates more clear. There is a huge modding community to improve many aspects of the wheel as well. As a package with the shifter, the G29 is the perfect budget bundle, being really the only wheel you're gonna need to get, and it will last you for years. A lot of Logitech wheels from back of 2009 are still working, and they do everything fantastically well. The driving is good, especially at this price point. Side by side, we can see the value proposition of the Logitech, and let's be fair, it's just better. They have found a really great model and improved on it. The V10 though becomes really a bundle that PXN has put together now that Mad Cat doesn't really hold the exclusivity of the model, and started to add half-done features that in globality don't matter or just plain out suck. In reality, when it came out, it was already underperforming against the Driving Force GT, a wheel that was discontinued when the Mad Cats came out. Being mostly the same price in Europe and in North America, it is really a no-brainer. Go to the refreshed Veteran. It's just a better offer. I've also talked with an ex-Mad Catz designer that said that the chip circumvention in the PlayStation is not far from being banned. So there's also that against the Mad Catz as well. As you can probably understand, I would really recommend the Logitechs to the PXN offer. When PXN sent the wheel, they were looking to expose it for the markets that this channel mostly covers. We're talking about Europe and North America. The PXN is only a better choice if the price difference between both offers is significant. But then again, here's the comparison you should look at: the G29 versus the T300 RS.